Hello guys, welcome to another session. So today in this video, we are going to analyze the key editorials from Hindu and Indian Express. So this is May 10 and the articles that I have taken, in fact, highlight very important themes for urban governance, which are related to urban governance, sustainable energy, federalism, national security, and India's strategic positioning against Pakistan. And each of these editorials provides, insightful perspective and are very relevant for UPSC. So this is covering your GS paper 2, GS paper 3, internal security, economic development aspect, international relation, governance, and essay. And for your interview, very, very relevant. Okay. So let's get started. I'll start with the Hindu and then we will move on to Indian Express. So the first one that I'm taking is reimagining urban governance, the need for decentralization. So if you look at the significance, the editorial is emphasizing on the importance of decentralizing urban governance that will enhance efficiency and responsiveness in the city administration or the urban administration. So relevance for UPSC, if you ask me, it is GS paper 2, the governance areas, and of course, GS paper 3, the economic development and infrastructure related. So the important points that this article covers is, you can read and you will understand, but let me stress on the key points. Basically, related to challenges in urban governance. So rapid urbanization that have strained the existing urban infrastructure and the governance mechanism, right? And then it also talk about the need for decentralization. That means you empower the local bodies that can lead to more effective and tailored solution for urban issues. And you can look at the examples and everything which is given in the editorial. And also talking about the role of technology. You need to leverage technology that can aid in, better service delivery and citizen engagement. So what I want is, when you're reading this editorial, you should also keep in mind a critical analysis also. Like you can talk about decentralization, in fact, aligned with the 74th constitutional amendment, which aims to empower the urban local bodies. But the actual devolution of power and resources remains limited. Right. So there is a constitutional amendment and everything, but there is always a limitation as well. And if you strengthen these institutions, that is very crucial for sustainable and urban development. And normally states, in fact, often resist empowering the municipalities. It could be due to many political reasons also. And, in fact, that is weakening the effectiveness of that decentralized governance. So the true empowerment, when we are talking about that, needs both financial autonomy and also the administrative support. So these are the things that you can, mention over there. And that's about this editorial is all about. Now let's look at the next one. That's India's energy transition, balancing growth and sustainability. That's again from Hindu. So if you look at the significance, this editorial is discussing, India's journey towards sustainable energy. And it is also highlighting the challenges and opportunities in balancing economic growth with environmental concern. Of course, very much relevant for your GS paper 3 and environment, energy, economic development and all. Essay paper also, like topics on sustainable development and environmental conservation. Now, if you look at the editorial, you will see the key points are related to the renewable energy targets, the challenges and the opportunities. So when you're reading, you just take down these aspects. What are the renewable energy target? Basically, India aims to achieve 500 gigawatts of non-fossil fuel capacity by 2030. What are the challenges? Financial constraints are there, technological barriers are there, and then the policy implementation issues are there. What are the opportunities? The job creation in the renewable sector and energy security and the international cooperation and all those areas. Then you look for a critical analysis part also. See, when we talk about India, our commitment to renewable energy is commendable and all those things you can write. And in fact, if you look at the editorial, that's basically arguing that the policy support and the technological advancements are very crucial for success. Moreover, the need for private sector involvement, that is very vital. You can talk about the PPP also, as the government alone cannot bear the financial burden of such kind of large scale transformations. So the editorial also suggests stronger diplomatic efforts, in fact, to secure the global technology transfers as well. So I hope you got some idea. Now, when you read it, you will get more clarity also. The third one is again very important for your paper 2. That is related to strengthening federalism, the role of interstate council. So the significance is, see, this editorial is talking about, the importance of interstate councils in promoting the cooperative federalism and resolving disputes between states. So, of course, for paper 2, it is very much relevant and it is very direct. Paper 3 also, if you take internal security, disaster management, it is connected, and essay also it is connected. You'll get question in an interview also. So the key points, if you look at it, the function of interstate councils, you need to know the current challenges, you need to know the recommendations you can look through, and then you will get an idea. So in fact, interstate council basically facilitate the coordination between states and the central government, right? And then, those infrequent meetings and the limited effectiveness, that's actually the present issue, right? And when it comes to the dispute resolutions and other things, what are the recommendation? The challenge opposite that you take, you can talk about regular meetings and then clear proper agendas, and implementation of recommendation is very important. That's something which you can discuss. If you go for a critical analysis of this, you can say revitalizing the interstate council that can strengthen the federal structure and promote harmonious center-state relation also. So that's something which is very important. And at the same time, the editorial is also arguing that the political willingness and the institutional reforms are very much essential to resolve this interstate conflicts. And further, if you see, they're talking about digital platforms that also can be leveraged to ensure transparency and the real-time communication between the states. So these are the three editorials that I want to discuss from Hindu. I hope you got some idea, and beyond this, you need to read, you need to write notes and everything that you can do. Now, since you watch this for 5-10 minutes, then another 30 minutes you can complete the entire editorial. That's what the idea of this particular session, not to discuss the editorial as such completely. That is your job, and your job has to be done by yourself. Okay, let's look at Indian Express now. We need a strategy that make Pakistan shun proxy wars once and for all. Anju Gupta. Okay, so that's from Indian Express. It is basically talking about India's need for long-term strategy to deter Pakistan from engaging, proxy wars. Proxy wars means you keep in front, you will keep someone and then you run the war like that. Okay, like terrorists will be in front of you and then they are running the war. This is what you mean by proxy war. So GS paper 2 very relevant, bilateral relation between India Pakistan. Why it is relevant for paper 3? Because when it comes to the element of terrorism and other things, that is related to internal security challenges also. Internal security challenge, terrorism. So guys, this is the way you should be in a position to connect the editorial that you read, the content that you take from that, and your syllabus. This is how you need to connect it. This is how you need to shape your perspective and your arguments and your counter arguments and everything. Okay, now if you look at the key points here, they're talking about this warlike situation which is going on now, that presents an opportunity to revisit the past conflicts and craft a thoughtful response. So that's, in a way, you need to take this as an opportunity. And again, India's approach should focus on building a strategy that make Pakistan abandon the use of such kind of proxy wars. So such kind of deterrence we have to create. And also the lack of support for terrorism, even in regions like, Jammu Kashmir, it can be leveraged to our own advantage, India's advantage. So go through this editorial. It is relevant. You can get some good idea also. And this editorial basically suggesting that, India must not only focus on immediate military action, but also the international diplomacy part and the economic isolation also to weaken Pakistan's such kind of terror networks and weaken them in all way which is possible. Okay, and also multi-layered strategies. You can keep these words in your mind so that you can reproduce the same words, the multi-layered strategies that include intelligence sharing, and then stronger counter-terrorism cooperation with global partners, the global allies, and also the economic sanctions, which may be more impactful, economic sanctions against Pakistan, so that you can weaken through economic isolation also. Okay, the next one, Ram Madhav. It's time India framed a national security doctrine. Okay, so Ram Madhav here argues for an establishment of comprehensive national security doctrine to proactively address threats and ensure long-term peace. Okay. So see, again, of course, relevant for your GS3. That's how you will be connecting. It is related to internal security, national security, and other things connected to your paper 3. So the security challenges and their management. And then very, very important for your essay also, you get a lot of content from here. So national security and strategic planning. Okay, so you say India have managed, if you look at the key points here, they are saying that India have managed security challenges without a formal doctrine, but evolving threats that we see these days and which is coming up in the future that necessitate a structural or a structured planning. Also, the national security doctrine would provide clarity and direction for the military and diplomatic actions also. And this editorial also emphasizing the strategic foresight, in fact, inspired by historical lessons from Chanakya and Ashoka. And if you go for a critical analysis of this, they're talking about, the absence of formal security doctrine that leaves India vulnerable at times. In fact, because of this uncoordinated responses. So what we need is a well articulated framework that would, not only streamline defense mechanism, but also it will help you, or it will enable the international alliances also that can, understand India's strategic priorities as well. So these are the things which are mentioned in this editorial, very important for your essay and for your paper too, since it's related to national security. Again, related to Pakistan, I think I can skip this since we discussed already twice. Now let's look at the heading only. Pakistan is on the precipice. Okay, so China can help it get back from the edge, stop unreasonable aggression. This is again related to the war, which we have done enough discussion, related to this. If you look at the significance, of course, this editorial is also discussing the role of China here in influencing the Pakistan's behavior and the importance of international pressure to prevent escalation. In fact, if you look at it, we discussed about proxy war of Pakistan just before. So keeping Pakistan in front of India could be a kind of proxy war by China. That's another dimension also that's not mentioned in the editorial, but we have discussed about that before, so that's why I've taken it. Relevant for GS paper 2 because international relation and the role of global powers. GS paper 3 also external security threats. Okay, so the important points, if you see, the Pakistan's internal challenges make it vulnerable to prolonged conflict. Again, China's significant investment in Pakistan, that is giving it a leverage to influence Pakistani actions also. And the international community, especially China, should encourage Pakistan at this point of time to de-escalate the tension. So, see, when you're leveraging China's influence, it could be strategic, but it also poses a risk of, over dependence. And India's diplomacy should include not just China, but also our other Western allies to balance the geopolitical interest as well. So, see, we were taking the important editorials. In fact, I have taken all from Hindu and Indian Express of this day. And you can see from various areas we have covered, right? Urban governance we started off with, and then sustainable development we discussed, federalism, cooperative federalism we discussed, and the national security also we discussed, international relation we discussed. Coming to essay also we have covered some important points. Coming to interview also we have covered some important points. So very crucial for your preparation. So this is the way you need to cover your editorials. Read, understand the perspective, understand the facts from that, and look for some critical analysis of that also. So that's it, guys. I just want to guide you on this. Now, when you read the editorial, I hope you will get more clarity on what is discussed over there. So thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.